And I said, oh, right. There was the option to be able to do this course by distant learning, which I said, okay, I'll probably kind of do that. That would help me to do that. So yeah, that triggered that sort of interest into doing construction law and arbitration. So in doing construction law and arbitration, I was able to kind of give me a holistic understanding of, oh, it's not just quantity surveying, it's not just quantity surveying, it's not just the cost, it's not just the takeoff that we normally do. You know, there's something more to it. And as you delve into it, your understanding broadens up. You get to work on a lot of contracts. So then you have to have that understanding of the contract to be able to administer the contract as a quantity surveyor on the project. In London, I worked on various projects, such as I worked on a heritage project, I worked on hotels, I worked on residential buildings, hospitals. I worked on most of the hospitality projects and most of the heritage projects, because London has a lot of heritage projects. And my biggest achievement in working in London was to be able to learn from the scratch, build every rate or build everything I need to do from first principles, be able to, as a quantity surveyor, have the opportunity to be able to work as prepare schedule, prepare program of works, prepare cash flows. As a junior QS, I work with mainly small firms. So with smaller firms, when you work with smaller firms, you get to do a lot of things. So you grow faster. Your responsibilities are a lot. And my supervisors or the company directors I was working with were very generous. So like, Adra, take this, go for it, run with it. Whatever you want to do, just run with it. When we finish, we'll look at whatever it is that you've come up with. And that's exactly what I wanted, because somebody to just say, take it, run with it, see how far you can go with it. If you hit a roadblock, come back. So with the achievement that I have done on that one, that gave me that sort of boost and confidence in my abilities, confidence in what I can do, confidence in if I stretch myself a little bit more, I can be able to kind of achieve myself from there. So from that, from UK, I came to Australia. I came to Australia because my then fiancé had moved to Australia, so I decided to come and check it out and see what Australia is all about. So once I moved to Australia, I said, well, I've already started doing the construction law and arbitration course. That is my interest. And again, with that, that means that is pushing me into that sort of realm of being an expert in terms of dispute resolution, which is also part of quantity surveying, but it's not really the core of it. So, and once you come to somebody's country, you need to learn in that country to be able to understand how they work. You need to adapt, you need to understand the environment. And the only way you could do that is to go to school or get a course and do that. And at a time, I don't have much hurdles in terms of the fact that I have time to be able to do that. So I set up, I did the professional certificate in arbitration course. And again, it's not just because of doing it for doing sake. It's much more for me to get understanding of how Australia works in terms of arbitration and things like that. So I did the professional certificate in arbitration with University of Adelaide. It was about a 2-year course, which was good. At least it wasn't so much to be done on that course. We lived in a small mining town, which in a mining town, there wasn't much to do. So I worked for an EPCM contractor there, working on a port project. So again, every place that I have been and every project I have been is an addition onto the skill set that I needed to be able to propel myself into the next level. And it doesn't matter which position I start from, it's more of the project and it's more of the experience. And also to be to also understand that in coming from where I am coming from, I need to be able to build on the skills and hone on my skill set. To be confident in my ability is important for me to move to the next level. So I work with a consultancy firm, and I work with an EPCM firm and a contractor firm in that small town for a little bit. Then we moved from that small town to the city, which is Western Australia, where I am in. So from Queensland, which is that small town, central Queensland, to Western Australia. And in Western Australia, it's much more bigger than the small towns. Again, opportunities were okay. And at the time, I had a 20-month-old, so I needed the time to be able to work in an area that I can be able to put my child in the childcare and also work. I didn't want to stay at home. But I was mindful at the end of the day that once the responsibilities become a lot, I need to be able to look for options. I need to have that continuity. I cannot stop, because once you stop, you realize that you take a break, everything like, okay, yeah, I'm tired, I can't do it. So I need to keep that momentum on. So in terms of that, my coming to Western Australia, I had opportunities. It was a bigger town. The smaller town, we had issues in terms of childcare and things like that. It's a small town, so definitely everything is a little bit tight. But here, I could be able to spread my wings a little bit more. And I got a job with a consultancy doing purely claims and dispute resolution. I'm like, aha, that is another area I can be able to gain experience from. So I went in and I worked with that consultancy for a while, and it was amazing, because then every skill set I have now or I had before has been enhanced during that job. So because more of what we're doing was claims and forensics. So it's much more investigative work or discovery, and be able to build on the skill set. And it's not purely quantity surveying, but it's more of applying that skills that you've got. And with the fundamental skills that I have gathered all through, I was be able to kind of be successful in that project or working with that company until set time that I had to set up quantum phases. So now, I hope I haven't run through quickly. So I set up quantum phases in 2016, again, when I was made redundant, because at the time there was a downturn, and I've just had my second one. So she was about 15 months old at the time. And I'm like, right, this is the time. I don't want to sit down and start looking for a job. It's the downturn, so let me start doing what I would do, set up the business. So I went in and registered a business and started working. So with a 15-month-old, she was a good baby at the time. She wouldn't give you any hassle. She's all right. As long as she can see you, she's fine. So I started working through. Once I get a few jobs, work my way through. And because that I haven't worked in a place, I haven't worked in a company that gave me that visibility, I realized or understood the mission that I need to start from scratch. So at some point, I made a list of all the architects in Western Australia, all of them, and start calling them each one at a time. So I have a list, call each one, ask them, tell them what I do, tell them what I can do for you. If I get a response, I'll make a note and take it off. So I did that. I had over 100 of them. So I made my target every day. I need to be able to kind of do that, which we did. It wasn't easy at first, and it's not easy now, but then it's more of a learning progress. 7 years down the line, we've been able to achieve so much in kind of 7 years. I set up the consultancy, being able to build it. And again, as you can see, it's more of being building is a solution based on whatever it is that your problem is. That when they come through, we do traditional quantity surveying work as well as claims and forensics, so we can build our solution to whatever your needs are. And in doing that, we've talked to people, we've built a network, and Australia is all about network. We built a network all the way up to this point. And from 7 years, it's been a daily grind in terms of grit, putting best foot forward. There are times that you kind of, people would ignore you, but it has been that sort of learning curve that you have. It's not always that you would get it free, but then you have grown, be able to provide all these services for the people in terms of the whole life's costing from project feasibility or from project feasibility all the way to claims and independent third-party assessment, working with lawyers, government, and the developers or any other person that goes through the door that needs advice in line with the services that we have. So in terms of projects, we've done a lot. I'll stop sharing at this point. In terms of project, we've done a lot of projects. We've done a lot of projects, from smaller project to huge project. And also our biggest achievement is being able to be called to work on a project which is 1.4 billion. I always talk about it because it's one of the biggest achievements that we have done. And to be able to build together what I have built from that 7 years is amazing. So yeah. Before I go ahead, I wanted to pass it over to you if you wanted to ask me any questions before I could go ahead. I don't want to be doing all the talking.
Okay, thank you so much, first of all, for making the time this morning to join us. Really appreciate that you're sharing your experiences with us. I'd also like to take a moment to say thank you to David Glendenden and Damiola Oyejobi for joining us this morning. We see you online. We'll be asking questions now. If you have a question for Ms. Aban, I would ask that you raise a hand and then we invite you to the floor. But before I do that, I wanted to ask Ms. Aban, can you share a memorable moment from your early career that you believe helped you to shape the professional career you have now?
I think I have lots, but there was one time that I was working in London. I was working for one of the consultancies, and we had to do takeoff. At the time, we were doing takeoff on papers. So I did a takeoff, and as a junior QS, once he does it, he would have the director would have a look and see how I've gone. So once I did that, he picked up. He said, Ajwa, you've measured this thing twice, but you've measured it exactly the same way. Then in that moment, I was like, I was happy. I was confident in myself, not because that I have double measured it, but it's more of the consistency that I have been able to achieve in doing that. So then every single time that there was a takeoff, we're like, you do it. Because I knew that that is the start of being able to be consistent. Once I'm consistent, then I can come back and to be able to measure my progress. But from then on, it's more of like, yeah, the sky is a limit, is my limit. Do whatever I want. Yeah.
Okay. One thing I see you keep mentioning is never stopping. And I think that is one of the things I'll be taking home with me today. Never stop. Always one foot in front of the other. So thank you for that. We'll be taking questions from the audience now. If you have a question for Ms. Aban, kindly raise a hand and then we invite you to ask a question. Okay, we have Emmanuel Atia here. Emmanuel, you have a question for Ms. Aban?
All right. Good morning, uh, Mami Ajo and Miss Aban for this insightful presentation. I have a couple of questions, but for the meantime, let me ask just one of them to allow others to get the opportunity to.
Sure, that's fine.
Yes. Yes. So Miss Aban has given us an overview of what they did in Africa, in Australia, and then in UK. So in practice, we realize that the outside world, they are always taking the front line in development and a whole lot of things. They are far ahead of us. I wanted to know, since he has practiced in Ghana and then across the world in that manner, maybe what are some of the things that we in Ghana we are not getting it right in engineering, like construction, in that maybe we put several efforts, but we are not able to get the required results. Our development is not like it's being practiced outside there. And given that a lot of people are listening, and as young people, very soon we'll be occupying positions where we make decisions in our engineering industries and then construction. If we have something to tell us so that we can prepare for the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I think, trust me, Ghana is not far behind. I've been to a few other places. I was talking to somebody last week, and I said I've been to a few other places. Ghana is not far behind. It's more of understanding the first principles. Everywhere you go, they are using technology. They are using infrastructure is still the same. Infrastructure hasn't changed. Infrastructure in Ghana, I haven't been to Ghana in a long while, but then when I see all the buildings that they have, Ghanaians have, or we have in Accra or thereabout, it's no different from what we have here. It's much more of understanding that somebody is not doing the work right. You have, if you have a first principle, you need to understand the basic principles of building or the basic principles of using technology. And again, coming from myself as a tutor, what I tell the students is, if you use technology and you don't know what you're putting inside, there's nothing you're going to get back. If you don't understand the basic first principles of what it is that you are looking for, what it is that you need to do, there's nothing that's going to come up. Technology only speeds up the work. Technology, what you take one day to do, technology will come in and help you to do in a couple of hours or in half a day. That is it. Technology doesn't do the work for you. You have to be able to go back to your first principle, go back to understand what it is that I can do better, what it is that needs to be done. If I need to learn, that's the same books that we're learning, the same books that we're using, the same principles we've done before. That is the same principles that we are using now. We are enhancing on it. So if I'm in a place of position and somebody brings me work, or in my role as a claims expert, and somebody brings something through to me, the first question I ask you is, what is the basis for your claim, or what is the basis for whatever you are bringing? If there's no basis, that means the person didn't do it right. So if I'm a manager and I'm trying to get somebody to a contractor coming, I have a claim, or they're telling me, oh, the cost is blown out. The first question is, what did you base your cost on, which they don't have? So that means it tells me the person who is working doesn't have the right fundamentals, and they need to be mentored, or they need to go back to the drawing board. Does that answer your question, Emmanuel?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, I see Mr. Daniela's hand is up. We can take a question from him.
Yeah.
All right. Is it my turn to ask the question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Thanks so much for giving me the floor. My name is Dr. Damilola, and I want to thank the organizers for doing this, and to my friend who invited me also. And a very good morning to the presenter. I want to say that I enjoy your presentation and your intimidated CV. You're actually doing well. And let me quickly say, just by the way of introduction, that also I have an humble beginning like you. I have National Diploma in Building and Quantity and HND in Building, first degree in Civil, and up to the PhD level. Now, so I think we are not just too far away from each other. At the age, you have a lot of age ahead of me, practicing in so many countries and in so many projects. I think I love that and I give it to you. But my question is this. I know that as a trained quantity surveyor, we are always limited when it comes to uh, taking of quantity of civil engineering projects. In your practice, how have you been able to navigate your building technology takeoff? Oh my God, your quantity surveying that is limited to building to civil engineering projects. Take for example, we have buildings, we have bridges, we have other civil engineering projects. So, as a quantity surveyor, how have you been able to navigate the what's it called? What's your length to what is actually obtainable on the field? Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
And at the same time, sorry, before I let you go, I think is also to pass the knowledge to the next generation. There are some things that cannot be taught in the four corner of the classroom. If there can be, let's say, a kind of regular training that can actually pass knowledge to the upcoming one, I think you can actually look into that. It will be worthwhile. Thanks.
Thank you. So, coming from a building background from UK to Australia, which does a lot of civil works, I have to adapt. You have to adapt. That is the environment. The environment here, because in Australia they didn't know what a quantity surveyor is. So I remember coming in and said, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "I'm a quantity surveyor," and they'd be like, "What?" Because they didn't know what a quantity surveyor is. They know who estimators are, contract administrators, those that do tendering and procurement, but no, they didn't understand what a quantity surveyor is. My background as a quantity surveyor have taught me to be open-minded. And again, I go back to that sort of principle, that first principle. That first principle is very important. In terms of civil and building, civil is much straightforward than building. Civil work is much more of understanding what it is that you are building. Civil works is, I'm not saying it's easy, it's not, but being able to understand that in civil projects, like buildings, you have your standard method of measurement that tells you how to measure each one of them. Civil also has their own as well. So in civil works, you have the civil engineering standard method of measurement. You have all the other standard of method of measurement that guides you in terms of what it is that you are you are going to measure. You need to learn a lot. You need to read a lot. You need to have an open mind. You need to visit site. You need to go to site. If you see them doing construction work, sometimes I'll park my car and stay there and look. If I have time, 15 minutes, I'll stay and look at what they are doing. Try and understand what it is that they are doing. You've read a lot, but then it's different to actually see it and understand what it is that you are doing. And that is how I learned. So by seeing them, I go to site, I'll take site over anything. I'll go to site, I'll see them working, I understand, I ask the question. And you having that sort of fundamental background as a QS, you should be able to transfer your skills from that building, adapt it into that side as well. Have I been able to answer your question?
Yeah, you do. And thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Daniela, for the question. Jacqueline, I saw your hand was up. You still have a question for Ms. Aban?
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much, Ms. Aban, for the wonderful presentation and in giving us an insight to your career and your life. I really appreciate it. My question is, you mentioned before you started your firm, you had to call out to people, firms, tell them what you can do, and seek their for their services. So how were you able to handle some of the ones that rejected your proposals?
I think when you start a business, you rejection is very hard. You would think, oh, I've honed my skills. I'm a quantity surveyor. I know what I'm doing, and you call somebody, and the person will probably say no, or I don't want your services and things like that. That was hard in the beginning. To be honest, I shed a few tears. I can want to shed a few tears, and as time goes on, I felt no. You don't shed tears. It's fine. You cry your heart out, but then it's not the end. It's not the end of the world. If one door closes, another door would open. The fact that somebody has said no means you have to stop. No, you have to keep going, and that is what I did to be able to keep going every single time. If you say no, that's fair enough. I'll come back. Maybe in 3-4 months' time, I'll come back and ask, would you do you want to have you reconsidered your decision, or is it something that you would want to do? So it's that sort of learning progress. You just take time off. There's so much you can do in terms of calling people and they say no. You would maybe give them a couple of times, give them to reconsider the decision. A few months pass, then you try again. It's having that sort of tough skin to be able to keep going back.
Okay, thank you. Daniel, I see your hand is up. Do you have a question for Ms. Aban?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you, Ms. Aban, for this presentation. But I want to know, in developing your professional career, what are some of the greatest challenges you faced, and how were you able to solve it or find your way around it? Thank you.
I think one of the things is moving from UK that I trained in, or Ghana and UK, there wasn't much differences, but coming from UK to here and being able to realize that, oh, okay, quantity surveying has been split into 3, or go to the side or trying to explain to somebody else how the work is done. And the person will be like, no, it cannot be done that way. It cannot be done that way. And you being able to hold back and have that sort of adult conversation is very important, to be able to hold back when you can, and to be able to explain to the person what they want to achieve at the end of the day. One of the things I've developed in doing, and to be able to get across, is when somebody comes to come to me and ask me for my advice, the first question is, what do you want to achieve at the end of the day? Because then when I ask that question, what I'm doing is to be able to get your understanding of what you want to achieve at the end of the day, so that I can be able to give you that advice. Because of the differences in understanding of what it is that they want and what they want to achieve at the end of the day. So I do ask that question. For challenging projects that most of them I have done, I break them down into smaller pieces. When I have a big challenge, I break them out into smaller pieces, put them into smaller boxes, whichever way that I work with, and try and work my way on a piecemeal basis. It's always the case. Every problem is solvable. Every complex problem is solvable. You just need to find another way of solving it without looking at it all in one go. Does that make sense, Daniel?
Please, thank you very much.
Okay. I think as a follow-up to Daniel's question, I wanted to find out what lessons you've learned throughout your career that are still shaping what you're doing at the moment.
Right. So for my career, My career evolves around 3 pillars: professional, environment, and my support network. So in terms of my professional, I'll try to put a few things down so I don't forget. So in terms of my professional, it's more of I had to hone my skills. And in honing my skills, that even though I've left Ghana for a couple of years now, I use Ghana as my basis because then that is my safe ground. It's my safe ground. Whatever I do, how I do it, I'll be safe in there. I'm protected pretty much. From the time I leave Ghana and went to UK to be able to work, that is where I have to display all the skills and lessons learned I have done. So that is it. In my area of comfort, I have to hone my skills, how I do it, how I think, how I approach my work. So it's very important. I have been able to map my career. My career, I don't have to wait for somebody. As a child, I remember at 12 or 13, my daddy would ask you, he does it for we are 4, he does it for everybody. It's like, what do you want to be? So once you tell him what you want to be, he wouldn't tell you what career he wants you to do. He just asks you, oh, you want to be that? Then he'll start mapping out for you. So I learned the art of being able to map up my career way ahead, 4 years ahead. This is what I want to achieve. So in terms of that, I'm patient to have that progress, that work in progress, but I'm impatient when I see that it's stalling along the way. So it's important that I need to be able to, that's why I said, put one step in front of the other. It doesn't matter how slow it is. I need to make sure I'm making small progress to that. And by working in Ghana, in UK, it doesn't matter which position I was working. It doesn't matter the ethics that I went through in. It has built me up to what I do now. I work to make sure that the jobs are done. Every task I have, if the client wants it in 2 weeks, I give myself 10 days. So by 10 days, I need to finish before then I can have time to kind of review my work. So it's much more of the discipline that you need to get. There are various ways to get wherever you want to get to. You need to look up. You just don't need to kind of concentrate. There are people that concentrate so much, they're looking down so much on the path that they haven't looked sideways, they haven't looked up to see what is out there. There are people there that you can talk to. There are people, mentors that you can speak to. There are research that you can do on your own. And as I said before, my professional career is based on doing research, looking at what opportunities are there. What do I want to see myself in 4 years? And as I'm working my way through, I'm opening my mind. Is there anything else I can be able to achieve along the way? The other bit is the environment I find myself in. The environment is, I'm in Australia, I need to adapt to it. If I come to Ghana, I will adapt to it. However, I need to be able to adapt in such a way to be able to fit into the environment, but also to be able to deliver on whatever it is I have to do. So environment is important, and my support network, my family, my faith. If I'm stressing out, there's so many things to do. How can I do it? I'll come back. I'll sit down. I'll pray because I'm a Christian. So that is where my faith will do. I'll sit down. I'll pray. If I need to speak to somebody else, I'll speak to somebody else. If I need to speak to a mentor, I'll speak to a mentor. I try and talk to people. I try and build organic relationship with people, not because I need this from somebody, so I need to be friends with the person. Really much, I build that sort of organic relationship so that if I need help and I go to somebody, it's more of going as a friend or as a mentee or a mentor to be able to ask for assistance to build my career along the way. So all the people around me are people that I have created genuine friendship or genuine relationship and communications over the years. And to be able to feel comfortable, to be vulnerable if you can, to be able to kind of guide you along the way. So my family is my family, my friends, my professional aspirations, my environment. These are the three core things that have shaped my career till now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're still taking questions from the audience, but as we're waiting, we've spoken about some challenges. I wanted to ask, what were some of the milestones, the things that you sit down, reflect on, and it puts a big smile on your face? You mentioned one project during your presentation that you sounded very proud of. I wanted to know if you had other milestones to share with us.
I think when you my daughter says, "Oh, I want to be like mommy." I want to be like mommy. It's kind of it gives you that sort of that joy inside that you've done a good job. Because if your daughter looks at you and says, "I want to be mommy," that is something that you are doing the right job in terms of being a good role model to them. There are times that you have somebody call you up, say this job would like you to come and do. And again, it gives you that joy that somebody else have recognized your the work that you do, your skill, your contribution, and they've called you to be able to be part of the team to be able to do that job. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're slowly running out of time, unfortunately. I think I'll allow Mr. Melome to step in if he has a question or any information to give, and then we allow Ms. Aban to wrap up for the rest of the session. Hello.
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Mami Ajua, and then thank you, Nana Ajua, for making the time to share all of your experiences with us. I won't ask a question. I will allow that you go ahead and share some more of you with us, and we hope that we're able to have another session, perhaps on a different subject later in the future. But we're most grateful. I know you put a lot into this, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Aban, thank you once again for the valuable time, for sharing your valuable time with us, all the insights and your willingness to share your experiences. If you were to leave us with today, what would that be?
Look up and look out. And I think you look up because then the career path that you have chosen to do, whether you're a civil engineer or whether you're a project manager, there's a lot more to it. So you look up and to be able to sit down and narrow it down. What else do I want to achieve in 10 years? What else do I want to achieve in doing what I'm doing? And to look out is to understand that opportunities are like buses. They are coming every single time. They are passing your way. It's more of you recognizing what opportunities are. Sometimes the opportunities will not be dressed up in a nice suit or something of that sort, but it's more of taking the chances or put your hand up for this, put your hand up for that, and to be able to research, do the homework, research, see what you can do, put a hard yes in, put one foot in front of the other. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not like somebody one day you get up and you be where you are. No, it's a learning ground. It's a learning progress. Every day is a learning progress. However, if you put it at the back of your mind that this is what I want to achieve, everything else would align to it. Before you know it, everything else will be aligned to it. So that as you go on your journey, you realize that you are looking up You're looking out, so all the opportunities in there would come into you. People would bring you the opportunities that way. You find yourself in that pathway, then you take it. If you have the capacity to do it, why not? Just take it and keep going. You'll get there. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, thank you for making the time and for sharing your experiences with us. I'd also say thank you to everyone who made the time to join us this morning. This has been a very insightful session, and I've learned so many lessons. Even never stopping, having the discipline, allowing myself to look up, not be focused only on what is in front of me, and the need to adapt to our environment wherever we are. And then also another important thing, having a support system who would keep us going when the going gets tough. So thank you very much, Ms. Aban, for all the insightful information you've given us today. I hope we can do this again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to share. And yes, if you have any more questions, you can reach out, and I'll do my best to be able to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll be wrapping up our session now. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.